James Walker-Powell, and it's Fund Manager Friday again. And today we've got Vic from Perennial, and Vic runs a fund that deals with health or pharmaceuticals. And one of the areas that really interests me was the Ozempic type of story. Tell us a bit more about that, Vic.
Right, James, thanks very much. So look, the Ozempic's been an incredible transformation over the last sort of 4 years. When we started the fund 4 years ago, the company that makes that, Novo Nordisk, was worth about the equivalent of BHP, about the same as BHP, and now it's worth the equivalent of the ASX 20 altogether. So this
20 times.
Yeah, 20 times that. Yeah.
Amazing.
So it's been an incredible transformation. That and another company called Eli Lilly,
Right.
are the large makers of this drug class, and really it's the opportunity there is just because there are so many obese, particularly Americans, but also people around the world, including Australia. There are around 120 million Americans who are obese, significantly overweight.
120 million.
120 million.
Amazing.
And there's over 25 million who are morbidly obese, so they have a BMI of over 40.
Right.
And with that comes a huge number of consequences, clinical consequences. Half of the knees and hips that are put in today are due to excess weight.
Oh my God.
The cardiovascular disease and so forth. So it causes billions and billions and billions of cost per year, hundreds of billions of dollars. And so a solution or partial solution to that, because of course diet and exercise are the real solution, but this drug helps you enact those programs. So, the real sort of value uplift for these companies came about in September 2023 when Novo Nordisk, they published a big clinical study in cardiovascular patients where they took 17,000 patients. They put half of them on the drug and half of them didn't get the drug.
Yeah.
And the half of the people who got the drug, 20% more of them were alive at the end of the study.
So a game changer.
So they had a 20% reduced risk of death or cardiovascular, complications, heart attack and so forth, stroke. And so that means that, whenever a patient sits in front of the cardiologist, and let's face it, probably 2/3 of the people sitting in front of a cardiologist are overweight, then, they're basically being prescribed this drug now.
Tell us one more drug that basically is like which is in your suite of.
Well, we've got a huge number of drugs. I mean, one interesting thing that's in development, so it's just been worked on right now, is a drug that's been developed from the funnel-web spider.
Right.
That comes from Fraser Island up in Queensland.
Uh-huh.
There's one of the Australian scientists of the year last year, a guy up from Queensland, professor. He's an expert in venoms. He's got the largest collection of venomous creatures and venoms on the planet.
Sounds like an interesting guy.
You've got to be careful when you walk into his lab, I can tell you. But they milked this funnel-web spider and they tested all these venoms for potential treatments in heart attack. And so it's very, very exciting program. It's actually quite amazing. So we're very hopeful that will be turned into a drug. It's going into the clinic, so being tested on people, in the coming year, and it's at a pretty exciting stage. I mean, at the moment, it's all great news for rats and pigs who are having heart attacks, but pretty soon it's going to be good news for people, we hope, and that has huge potential, not only to treat heart attacks, but also in stroke. The way it works is when you have a heart attack, there's some damage done, but there's viable myocardium. There's at-risk tissue in the heart. Yeah. And when you get this reperfusion injury, which actually damages a lot of the rest of that potentially viable heart when the cardiologist opens up the vessel. So because of this sets off a cell signaling cascade that causes a lot of cell death. Now, this drug, this venom, interferes with that acid sensing channel, and we hope reduces that sort of the damage that occurs, the reperfusion injury that occurs when the oxygen is allowed back into that.
That's unreal. So we're talking Ozempic, we're talking skinny people.
Yep.
We're talking funnel web spiders and reducing heart problems, yeah?
That's right. Yeah, there's a huge number of opportunities in healthcare. This just gives you a little bit of a flavour. It's a very exciting space, and you know it's underpinned, I think, by just in Western populations, you know, this mass ageing event that's happening, you know, as we speak, where you know from 2027. Because of the baby boomer generation, they'll all start turning 80.
Yeah.
And there's this dramatic increase in the number of people who are turning 80 for the next two. So if you look back in the rear vision mirror, there's been around 20 to 25,000 people turning 80 in Australia every year.
Huh?
And that's been pretty consistent for the last 2 decades. We're in this very sharp uplift right now as we speak. So that in the 4 years between 2024 and 2027, 28, you've gone from 20,000 to 70,000.
So this is great news for an octogenarian.
Well, you know, exactly.
All right, well, look, any more information on the Health Fund, you can give us a DM. But other than that, we'll see you next Friday. James Walker Powell. Cheers.
Thanks very much.